Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pokerole, session 99. We're almost to that 3-digit number now, and there will be a change for the next episode. For some stuff, you'll notice a few differences here and there. Nothing too insane, but a few differences all the same. So look forward to that. But yes, hello everyone. I hope you're all doing well. And of course, before we begin, just to get the intro out of the way, if you like the video, do think about giving it a like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, think about doing that as well. But if you really want to help out, come over to Twitch. We're trying to reach partner over here, but of course we need more viewers to do that. So if you want to come by, whether it's to lurk or to talk, think about doing so, because it does make a world of difference. Right now we're sitting at 33 viewers. We need a 75 average, so we need to more than double this number. So come on by. Honestly, every viewer makes a difference, and we'd honestly really would love to have you. Whether you want to lurk or talk, you are making a difference. In addition to that, though, we also have a pretty cool Discord community. You can check that out, and also check out our Pokerole sub-community off of that. We have a Coffee link, or I have a Coffee link, rather, if you want to help directly monetize my content. And I got a merch store if you want to help support me and get some cool items along the way. All links are in the description, so of course, check them out at your leisure. And of course, we also have the Poke Pioneers wiki if you want to catch up on episodes by read recaps to catch up quicker, or just read up on different pages of different characters. Go check it out, and maybe help work on it if you want to. With that all being said, though, hello, players and DM. How are we doing tonight?
Super duper. All good here.
That is good.
Oh, right. There's only, like, 3 people besides yourself. I'm doing well.
And Kyrio's butching food right now. He's got food, so he's going to work on that a bit. Myself, I'm a little... I woke up a little sick, but I also woke up with plenty of time to spare, so I gave myself some physical therapy, I guess, and I felt a bit better. I'm still a little... You might notice I'm a little passive, but I should be okay.
Yes, be ready.
Though, in addition to passiveness, I do have to say, I have a new programmable keypad for this session that I didn't have last time, which means I can actually make use of Tucker's additional motions, like this one, and 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 this one. Yeah. And it's easy. I don't have to remember key combinations. I have little stickers that refuse to stay on the keys and keep trying to peel off. But nonetheless, I have stickers that let me know which emotion I am pressing. So it should be easy to switch around. And give me time to get used to the idea of switching Tucker's emotions around while also roleplaying as him. That's a bit of a multitask, but I think I can do it. Just imagine a raptor in the corner munching on a bone. I like that. I like that thought.
Proceeds to give the raptor a cartoonishly large meat shank with a bone through it.
The best kind.
So, you got enough for the whole class, right? Because, well, it's fun to win, too.
I mean... Cartoony smoke cloud as I flee to DM.
Does this key do what I think it does? Yeah, it does. I was worried if I said it to that. Poof.
Right then. Last session, we began with everybody in one of the book traps. It would help if I had the document up so I have the name.
The scary dark one that I don't remember the name of.
Yes.
Grim Tidings, wasn't it?
I believe that was the name of it, yes.
That sounds right. That's probably right.
Let's see. And after this session, I can post up what all this stuff was in the behind the scenes channel in the Discord.
Oh yeah, people have been enjoying that one, haven't they?
They seem to enjoy the encounter lists a bit more than the area descriptions, but that's understandable because crunchy numbers. Yes, it was Grim Tidings. A book world, for lack of better terms, in any terms, given that later on Hatterene never really explained it particularly well. That was mostly black and white and just generally a very dark, Gothic-styled area with looming architecture, and the only other colors seem to be generally red, with the one bit of illumination, aside from the moon, being a doorway far from Team Cheer when they entered Grim Tidings. Also, I am not the one who chose spooks. Brooke chose spooks. I had 2 other books to choose from, and y'all chose spooks again.
It was indeed Brooke. Brooke likes the thrill-seeking options when possible.
I wasn't really cognizant of what I was picking. I just picked up the nearest one.
True.
Fair enough. Chaotic neutral it is.
That said,
It made Ralph's stunt stand out more, which was hilarious.
I mean, that's true.
Yeah, it worked out quite well.
It's true. And Team Cheer encountered inside this book a spooky scarecrow-like entity that started to chase all of you, to put it very simply. And Ralph, thinking he could actually stop it, you know, like the Nightmare Mightyena from the Fear Trap, decided to try and lick it. Unfortunately, Tucker got a good look as Ralph suddenly got grabbed by it and poof, vanished in a puff of smoke as soon as the creature made contact with him. And Tucker decided to shadow sneak away in order to avoid an attack against him as well, starting to catch up to Brooke and Rida.
Scary. Very scary.
It is scary. You guys got the horror genre world.
To be fair, several of these illusions have been horror genre.
Yes. I was trying to go Bookmaster on all of you, but at least I gave you a choice at the end.
True.
It's just not my fault which one you picked. I actually literally based the 3 choices off of the Bookmaster movie.
Page Master, but yeah.
I'm sorry, it's been a while. I actually have that
It
movie
has
somewhere.
it's been quite a while. Dude, not to show my age, but I saw that in theaters.
Dang. I don't think I saw that in theaters. I think I saw that rented
VHS myself.
from Blockbuster. Okay, if we're done dating ourselves, I'll continue the recap. Unfortunately, for the remaining trio of Team Cheer, the creature begins to quickly close the gap and grabs Brooke, dragging him into the shadows as well, causing both Rida and Tucker to try and attack it. Rida, in particular, becoming quite incensed at Brooke being, vanished. Tucker deciding to take a chance on using a meld move that they hadn't perfected yet, which ignited the entity, briefly, before it whirred back to life and did its creepy scream again. But, in the meanwhile, Brooke and Ralph found themselves back at the alchemy lab that you all destroyed a session prior.
Didn't destroy that much.
Okay, well, the cauldron was destroyed. It doesn't mean there wasn't some amount of after effect. But Ralph got an interesting idea, and being the first one out of the books, was able to go and start enacting his idea before Brooke... I just said Brooke came out first, didn't I, instead of Ralph?
It's okay.
Anyway, you all know what I mean. Ralph got out first before Brooke, and was able to enact his interesting idea before Brooke arrived. Ralph went to get art supplies, and began to add a totally awesome, not self-insert character who's super cool and brave and strong and handsome to fend off the creature and save Ryda and Tucker. Or at least give them a chance to escape.
Ryda didn't need saving.
Which, by the way, there was a point where I thought the encounter was over, and I effectively declared it over, and then things continued to get worse, and it's like, oh, it's not over, is it?
Ryda wanted blood.
But yes, the Scarecrow creature attempted to close the distance to Ryda and Tucker again, only for a buff, cartoonishly drawn-in crayon Snorlax to swoop in and save the day. And if you want my general stilted description of this buff Snorlax, you can go watch the previous session, because it's not in the recap synopsis.
There is fan art, though, which is great.
There is fan art. It's wonderful fan art.
It is. It's over there.
It's glorious. Also, I have to give super props and appreciation to Hydra for doing the Jolteon face.
Also, I'm aware that Idiot chose specifically to use the colored the crayons. Specifically used crayons, since Ralph did too, which I appreciate that detail.
Yes. Ralph also attempted to self-insert like a swooning cartoony Mawile, but that didn't work out. So, Ryda and Tucker were saved. Mostly. It wasn't like this insert was able to destroy, ? The Scarecrow creature, but it was able to fend them off. At least long enough that Tucker was able to calm down Ryda and get them to analyze the situation instead of lash out. That's the good way of putting it. Eventually, Ryda does realize it's kind of pointless to fight something that doesn't die or stop when you hit it. So, they run off with Tucker to the illuminated house, and exit as their glorious savior is defeated. Ralph weeping in the book room over his amazing character being removed from the book. It should be pointed out that in this meantime, Brooke had gotten back out into the real world and was able to sort of kind of witness what had happened. Not that they could actually see what had happened in the book, but, you know, was able to see that the self-insert was removed from the book.
Quote my favorite line from that whole thing. Oh no, Ralph's rolling.
Oh, goodness.
It was a valid concern.
Tucker and Ryda ended up finding themselves in a cylindrical room filled with various books among many shelves, as well as Hatterene themselves, somewhat sitting on a pile of books and reading one. Hatterene commenting that they didn't expect anyone to get through all of their defenses, and then proceed to ask why the team decided to go through all this effort to meet them. Information is relayed about how the team wants Hatterene to cure the shaman that has a broken mind. The concept sounds familiar to Hatterene, who gives a meaningful glance over to Ryda, and then muses how they hope the shaman's mind wasn't as broken as Ryda's was when they were found. But, since they have just concluded their study for the moment, they declare that they'll return the books they have collected from the library, as per usual, including all the ones based around emotions and restoring broken minds that the team had just traveled to the library to obtain. Outside this specific space, back in the book room, Ralph and Brooke see a door suddenly appear, Hatterene walking out with a line of books marching along behind them, then Tucker and Rida. We're relieved to see that the two are intact. Rida, especially, running over to Brooke immediately to check for injuries, and for the decent way to put it is fret over Brooke, as much as Rida frets. And Hatterene actually compliments Brooke's choice on which book to navigate, noting that most of those who try to bother them navigate through Fantasyland, which is a far too common choice. Brooke, of course, responds, that was just the book they decided to grab immediately, rather than caring about what was in it. Meanwhile, the player did want to see Fantasyland, so I apologize. The group then follows Hatterene out of her labyrinth and back into the hydroponics sector, Ralph remarking to Hatterene about how this labyrinth reminded him somewhat of a situation with an Esper in the Snow Rot Hamlet. Hatterene suggests that what they experienced at that time may have been the result of a strengthened or complex version of the move Wonder Room, though that's only a hypothesis. Mewtwo, getting up from lounging yet again, welcomes everyone back and congratulates them for actually reaching Hatterene. He tells them that if they are tired after all those excursions, that he can conjure some more food for them. Meanwhile, Rida goes with Hatterene to discuss matters in private before they get the answers they want from Mewtwo, and the rest of the group settles down for a picnic while Ralph discusses the mechanics of creating matter using psychic power with Mewtwo. Which, generally speaking, it's like, yeah, Mewtwo can disobey the laws of conservation because he's a legendary. Ralph isn't a legendary. You can't just...
No food from nothing for Ralph.
Yeah, I believe the general commentary was you would be wasting potentially more energy than you would get back.
Yeah.
During the picnic, the group, now with Florence and Luxray again, are reunited with Noibat, who comes to the picnic with food made by him and Alakazam. The team praise him for it, though Noibat bashfully undersells his own contributions. Brooke asks out of curiosity over how long they had likely been in the library, to which Alakazam and Mewtwo explain that, likely, including the time traveling through the Dragon's Path, they've probably been here for about 8 hours, possibly more. The group is shocked about how they still don't feel exhausted then, since they hadn't rested in at least an entire day, to which they are told the general energy of the library assists in keeping Pokemon awake. Sort of an opposite of the hypnosis effect. Brooke suggests that the team needs to rest before they leave the library, which Alakazam agrees that they should do. As the picnic draws to a close, Mewtwo gets up and brings the team to a bedroom for them, while Alakazam goes to collect Rida, who happens to have their own bedroom somewhere in the library. I believe I made mention that the residential area of the tower happens to be somewhere around the middle, just sort of wrapping around like a band. Extending into halls with various rooms, of which Rida possesses one. And while Mewtwo took everybody else through his elevator to a room that was set up for all of you, that doesn't mean you are in a different floor, air quotes, because floors are relative here. There's a lot that's relative here.
With the way you described it, wrapped it around like a band, I'm like imagining, like, I know this isn't exactly a logical tower, but I'm like imagining a tower with like a part jutting out around the middle, just a ring kind of attached to the outside of it, which is like a bedroom hall area.
I mean, that's not what it looks like from the outside.
That would be a cool design for a tower, though. I just like imagining it now.
There's lots of ways you can make an interesting tower. I mean, to be fair, there are watchtowers in Scarlet and Violet that do have, like, midpoints and several tiers of, like, rings, I guess you could say, that make up platforms for you to stand on. I mean, they're small, but... I also don't know how structurally sound that would be. It doesn't seem very structurally sound.
I don't think psychic types have to worry about structurally sound towers, though, at least.
I mean, not here.
Not here, especially.
But yes. Alakazam goes to find Rida back at the teleportation chamber with Hatterene. The two having just concluded a private conversation of a nature determining the words. I can words. You know it's going to be a good session when I have to words. And Wolf Mage, it is pronounced Tartarus. Tartarus.
No, he just likes Doctor Who.
Which is, it's named after, the Greek underworld, I believe it is. I could rattle off more facts, but not relevant to the game. Well, one of the layers of the Greek underworld, anyway. A conversation between Rida and Hatterene of a personal nature, involving Rida and how they came to be at the tower, and Hatterene's involvement in their recovery. Unfortunately, Hatterene was only able to provide cursory answers to the Curlia's questions. Rida would be able to hear the tap-tap-tap of Alakazam's walking staff as he makes his way up the hallway and antechamber. Rida! Are you there?
Yes.
Ah, good. I don't need to go searching for you. He tugs at his mustache with a good-natured chuckle. Well, I see you are becoming quite acquainted with Hatterene. They are. You will not need to worry for us. We will be here. We assume you are here to take them to rest, are you not? Indeed I am. You're quite perceptive. Then again, you always were. Are. Yes. You can bother me on syntax later. Alakazam waves a hand dismissively. Your new friends have gone to rest. The head librarian has prepared them a room. Accordingly, it seems they have been up for about 24 hours, which tells me that you have as well.
Yes, that is very likely. It might be best for me to head and get some rest as well.
If for nothing else, then for your own mental acuity. Based on the head librarian's musings, I suspect you have an important conversation coming up.
Indeed.
Best to be sharp, then. Go on. And he gestures with the staff down the hall. You know where to go. Don't make me badger you.
That will be unnecessary. Thank you again, Hatterene, for your time. It has been a pleasure. See you in a while. And then they will start heading off.
Hatterene does not respond. Also, you would have heard Alakazam use the word badger like that before. Just as like a side amount of context, nobody knows what a badger is. They assume the word is just like a synonym for nagging.
I figured as such.
Yeah, now you made me start thinking about it. Yeah, that is an interesting word.
Because I don't think, like, the closest thing to a badger Pokemon is Galarian Zigzagoon.
Yeah. That line is basically... They're basically badgers. Honey badgers, specifically.
Honey badgers are cool.
There's also, what are they? Vipers opposite.
Zangoose.
Zangoose?
But those are supposed to be like a mongoose equivalent.
Yeah, mongoose, which I don't know if they're related to badgers. Actually, that's a good question.
They are not. They are ermine.
Nice. Yeah, badgers are so cool that that's a good enough reason by itself to join Hufflepuff.
I refuse to do anything Harry Potter related. J.K. Rowling is a terrible person and should not be supported in any manner.
I mean, that's fair, honestly.
That is valid.
Moving on. Ryda, you will be able to relatively easily find your way to your room. Unless you want to go searching for the room where everyone else is in, which might take a little bit.
I imagine Ryder will go to their room and then just spy on them through the orb.
Not even sleep. You're just going to spy on them as they sleep.
They'll get sleep. Just periodically they'll get up, check the orb. They're still there? Okay, go back to sleep for a little bit.
Sleeps for an hour, wakes up for 5 minutes.
It's not quite. Brooke, you took 3,165 breaths in your sleep last night.
Oh, goodness.
How? Where did the Spooty Bard go?
Not quite.
Just realized I don't have the model for some reason. It's not a big deal.
The model for what?
Well, for a bard.
Florence.
Yeah, Florence is...
Yeah, because he didn't have a model. We had an image.
But
Yeah,
I gave him a model, I thought. Did I not?
No, we had a Luxray model, but I think we used an image for Florence because we didn't have him.
I could have sworn I gave him a model last couple sessions.
Maybe you did.
But here he is. I guess he went in the bag.
Okay.
I was just wondering
Well,
where
yeah.
he was since the gang's regathering.
Well, yeah, I think I put them away because they weren't relevant.
Yeah. But now we're all kind of rested in the bedroom area, right? So.
Yep. It's not terribly spacious, given the fact that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Pokemon in it. But it is a modest space, at least. It appears as though it's been rearranged to some extent. There is what may have once been a fireplace in a wall in one side of the room. It's warm over there, though there's no fire at the moment, and it looks like bedding has been placed in just about every available open space, just so that there's enough beds for everyone to sleep in, including one Ralph-sized. On a positive note, this includes a perch on the wall for Noibat, as well as a doggy bed for Tucker and a somewhat larger cat bed for Luxray.
I appreciate how many times Tucker is able to find doggy beds to rest in. Or doggy bed equivalents.
I believe I recall saying there was also a pool for Brooke in there as well as an appropriate resting space.
Oh, yeah. Is it saltwater?
Do you want it to be saltwater?
Brooke would prefer saltwater.
Then it would be saltwater.
Brooke is happy.
In fact, I think the only two with normal beds, quote-unquote, are Ralph and Florence. Florence's looks more like a standard bed, like you would have seen in the human world. And Ralph's... yours is lower, so that you don't have to actually climb onto it. And it's of a larger, somewhat rounder variety.
Yeah, that's good. Why don't you sleep on, after all?
If you flop on it, it is perfectly sized to your specific body shape. Unfortunately, there isn't much extra furnishing-wise in this room, but you get the distinct feeling that Mewtwo specifically altered it so that you could sleep here and not do much else. Other living spaces probably look more like personal living spaces in the tower.
Well, Tucker probably wouldn't think too much about it. He's mostly... I'm hearing myself. He's mostly just tired after all the adrenaline rushes he's had. So he's probably just gonna conk. Also, Kyrio, I have bad news. You're the double speaker.
Oh, no.
Wow, I'm not even close to the mic right now.
Well, according to Beerus, you are. He was apparently watching the lighthouse.
I didn't even notice it, really.
It's okay. Just derailed me a little bit.
Alright. Well, Tucker flops. Noibat will yawn and cling to their perch and sort of just swing upside down, wrap themselves up in their little wings, cozy, like a plushie. Florence is just going to sigh. They look tired. They walk up to the bed. They don't even bother trying to climb into it. They flop over the front, the foot of the bed, and just manage to get about 2/3 of the way on. They don't bother climbing the rest of the way.
I know this tower has made everybody lazy, physically lazy at some point, pretty much. It's kind of funny.
Luxray is hesitant and observes the bed that is clearly meant for them. They seem uncomfortable accepting this luxury, but they take it anyway and loaf like a big cat. What about Ralph and Brooke, or are you both also conking out immediately?
I see no reason not
It's been
to.
a productive day.
It's been a very productive 24 hours.
Yeah, so I'm gonna get to sleep immediately.
What was that?
Yeah, I don't see any reason why Ralph would stay up.
Yep, Brooke's gonna sleep.
The night passes uneventfully. There are no strange dreams, though you may yourselves dream of different things. In fact, it almost seems like in this space you are protected from whatever influence gives you those strange dreams.
Makes sense. It's kind of like that one D&D concept. I know there's a spell that lets you... it's kind of like a bag of holding dimension, but it's like a little room you could just set up for yourself.
Rope trick.
Rope trick.
Tiny hut, magnificent mansion, and at the highest levels you can just make your own demiplane.
Yeah, a little plane space thing. Just to get away from whatever crap you're dealing with.
Ah yes, high-level wizards creating their own pocket dimensions.
Yeah.
Like a Pokemon.
It's almost like you got sucked into one many sessions back. The only unfortunate bit is that morning is relative in the tower. Given you don't exactly have a real window outside, the best that you can manage is whenever your bodies decide it's time to wake up. So, let's have everybody roll a die and see who wakes up first.
Okay. You need to install those lights that they use for places without windows that, like, adjust their light brightness based on the time of day. Those are kind of snazzy. That's 3 dice rolls. Tubby?
I was navigating that.
Oh, it's okay.
Where's my bulbous? Hey, my bulbous.
My bulbas. Your bulbas. Oh, look at that.
Bulbasaur.
Right then. Brooke and Ralph, almost unsurprisingly, are the first 2 to wake up. Luxray is also awake around this time, though they are sitting quietly on their gigantic cat bed. They seem to be watching everyone, which is mildly unnerving given the way Luxray eyes look.
Never understood why they have such strange eyes. I guess it has something to do with the X-ray vision, though.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a good sleep.
Tucker, not too surprisingly, does seem to sleep a little longer than the others he's hanging out with. There was a lot of stress in those last events. Illusions or not, hit face a bit.
Aw, looks like our little Tucker is still tuckered out.
Not that I blame him, he's had a long day yesterday. Brooke's kind of not in a hurry to leave or wake anybody up right now.
Ah.
I was assuming that Brooke decided they were going to stay in that pool of salt water as long as possible.
That's also true, yeah.
Tucker is just glad he didn't hear that pun because he was sleeping.
As a side note, your little saltwater pool comes with little steps inside it, so you can just walk out when you want.
Awesome.
Someone, or perhaps just the tower itself, seems to have laid a towel at the edge of your pool, if you so desire it.
Or, you know, just walk around all the bookshelves dripping wet for a while.
To the Kremlin. Choose violence.
I scrolled to the crown drawing. There's even in the corner a little crown Mawile with hearts.
Ah,
It's great, the sword's shining.
no regrets. It's fine. You didn't need to know how to spell to be a Pokemon trainer anyway. Teasing aside, Lightbat will eventually awaken with a squeaky little yawn, stretching out, and then dropping from their perch, only to backflip, and glide themselves over to Florence's back. Their pricking little claws digging in, causing Florence to groan. Oi. 5 more minutes. It's time to get up. Is it even daytime? Skrick, skrick, skrick. Why? Watch where you're grabbing. Florence grumbles, getting himself up slowly. Burke slowly gets out of the pool and wraps the towel around his waist. Somehow, I feel even less stressed now than I did a second ago.
Ah, yes, that funny cartoon animal issue of when they put on a shirt, suddenly they look less clothed.
Take my dog outside.
Okay.
Reminder to everyone to hydrate and stretch! Fair. I feel weird that I'm able to read that sentence you did.
I had to read it 4 times, but then I got it.
I glanced over it once and I'm like, wait, what is this? And then my brain registered what it was.
Though, but my first impression was like some sort of like really deep, like really thick Scottish accent was the first thing I saw out of that.
I mean, I guess if Florence were inebriated. But no, it's a fun little ciphering trick where if the first and last letters are effectively the same, your brain will fill in the gaps and fix the word, usually.
Yep, as long as the letters are there, effectively.
Barring if you have, say, dyslexia, in which case, that just makes life harder.
In which case, oh, that's just how I read things anyways.
I mean, yeah, in some cases.
Some
Dyslexia
cases.
comes in a
Depends on the
variety.
Yeah, it's quite a spectrum as far as how that actually develops and what people see and what people process. I suppose Tucker will gradually rouse next, I suppose.
Yep. It will be around now that Tucker will be able to wake up. Tucker needed more sleep. Small child needs sleep.
He did that thing that dogs do sometimes when they're in their doggy beds where they just completely, like, shove their face into the bedding to the point where you're wondering how they're still breathing. Because they're just kind of, they're in that deep of sleep. They're just shutting away like that. So he takes a while to, like, wriggle his face out of the padding and blink himself awake.
At some point in your sleep, you may have begun gnawing at the bed because it was soft and cottony. You come away with a bit of bedding stuck to the side of your mouth.
The bed has a bit of drool in it, like some dogs leave. He gets up and does a deep, long stretch. That cattish sort of, that quadruped stretch that just pulls your body out really long for a second. He looks a little bit better than before. He definitely had a deep rest this time, which he hasn't had in a while. Did I hear a Tubby for a second?
Yeah, I'm back, baby.
Hello. Tucker just woke up.
Good morning, sunshine. Well, I guess you're a dark type, so good morning, not sunshine. Oh no, then it just sounds like you're a blight. Good morning, moonshine. No, you can't be moonshine either. You're just a kid. That joke doesn't work.
Tucker just kind of blinks as he's waking up, eyes kind of moving slowly. He kind of does a little shrug.
Good morning, afternoon, night, whatever. Actually, what time is it?
As the game Hades narrator says, one of these days or nights. Because you can't tell.
Ralph looks at his wrist. Yeah, I don't know. I left my watch at home.
It is now o'clock.
Well, whatever time it is, I feel like I've rested well enough at least.
In that case, sounds to me it's time to go.
Guys, wouldn't it be wild if, like, this was, like, some weird time paradox and we've actually been here for 100 years and we go out and everyone we know is either old or gone and like, Savanntown's a sprawling city now?
Tucker just looks up to Ralph for a second. His eyes are then drifting a little bit because he's still waking up.
Ralph, I've been up for 3 seconds. Maybe don't say that right now.
Small child cannot brain at the moment.
Exactly.
Hyperbolic library. Also, it's at this point that Ryder would probably have awakened in their own room, having slept the longest, surprisingly.
I imagine it isn't that they slept the longest, it was just that they are on an hour cycle where they get up every hour. This is just the time. Like, this is the end of the hour that they're waking up.
1 hour sleep, wakes up, checks. 1 hour sleep, wakes up, checks.
Oh, I've been there. I've been there.
They get up, they check. Oh, they're awake. Time to go.
Yeah. Dude, that's when you're still tired. Like, you work in the afternoon, but you're still tired, so you go to sleep, and like every hour you wake up. 10 o'clock, oh, I still got 3 more. 11 o'clock, I still got 2 more hours. 12 o'clock,
That really is too strong a mood. Like, way too strong a mood for me sometimes.
Oh gosh. I remember that from way back when I used to close at the store. I'm glad I don't do that anymore.
I'm glad you don't either.
Ralph, I would appreciate it if you didn't make it seem like the tower was out to get you. Luxray stretches. They're speaking a bit more stilted than usual as they have to search for words while they get themselves up.
Oh, no. So far, the tower's been great. It's a tower, it's filled with power. You guys should call it the Tower of Power.
The fact it's shaped like a tower is merely a convenience. It is a library, through and through. Aye, and it's got information in it probably shouldn't. Florence still seems to be sour about Mewtwo outing him yesterday. Yesterday? However long ago. But I agree. We shouldn't keep the librarian waiting. Bold of you to assume that he's waiting. Probably sleeping like the rest of us. Just like we found him. Luxray shuffles awkwardly. It is entirely possible that this is true.
What, don't you have, like, take turns?
Don't you have what?
Yes, don't you, like, take turns? Is it always just, like, the same one? Like, surely there's, more than one librarian, someone toward the morning shift and in the evening.
I was
I mean, I
merely
can't
shortening
really-
the title, Ralph.
Yeah.
Mewtwo
Yeah, I
is
was-
the head librarian, though it might be easier for some to simply call them the librarian. Just like how in Sea Spray I happen to be the librarian. Somewhat ironic, given I am nowhere near what Mewtwo is.
Tucker kind of pipes up.
Yeah, Ralph, there's others that work here. Remember the reception desk?
Yeah, they're kind of cute. Not as cute as Mile, but, like 5-10%. It's a little bit early for me, too. My filter's not all the way up yet.
Like, as you are commenting on the cuteness of the two Indeedee front desk staff, Noibat just sticks their tongue out in a sort of bleh motion and flutters to the door. They just perch themselves on the handles such that their own body happens to just weigh it down enough that the handle swings low and clicks, and the door swings open. Okay. I don't know if they serve breakfast here, but I think I need something after that. You think Mewtwo will serve us breakfast?
I hope so. I mean, we are distinguished guests of honor. I mean, the team here? Come on.
By the way, the door swings open, Rida is there. It wasn't hard for Rida to find you.
They knew since yesterday night.
They what?
They knew since yesterday night.
Oh.
Oh, hey there, Rita, was it? Ryan? Rex?
It was Ryder.
Ah, yes. Never knew what you rode, but you are a rider.
Your statement is confusing.
Tetra contemplates the food question again, ignoring the interaction.
Hopefully there's some food to eat. I've only got the floaty cakes and... Well, they're not that filling and kind of make me too light.
Rida
We
knows
can
where to
always
get food.
ask.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
What were you saying?
I was just gonna say, we could always ask. Worst thing
Yeah,
they can
right.
say is no.
Yeah, you could be our local tour guide, Ryder. Show us to the cafeteria.
Merle said, that hurt my brain, and I just thought to myself, yeah, that's Ralph for you.
Causes confusion damage.
Sometimes Ralph is just so brilliant it resets back at really dumb. Like it stack overflows back
Oh my-
around.
Oh my god, if Sleepy Tucker wanted to be lazy, he could eat a floaty cake and then ask Noibat to carry him.
That is lazy.
That's brilliant. Oh, I love it.
As an aside, I feel like we need to give Ralph just a move that's just confusing banter. Low accuracy, guaranteed confusion, untyped.
That's
It's like
Like
vicious mockery.
a confuse ray.
They just want to knock themselves out.
I mean, or we could just give you confuse ray and flavor it that way, but But yes, Rida is able to lead everyone to where generally food is collected if, you don't just psychic it to yourself. It just so happens to be a lower area, similar to hydroponics.
Makes
It
sense.
seems to be something of a main kitchen. There happens to be a Gallade working there as a chef, of all things. As well as a couple other psychic Pokemon who are more than willing to carry out this relatively necessary duty. What's most interesting is that they happen to be doing this physically. Any use of psychic power seems to be getting preparation done, while the main amount of cooking and making of food is done by them.
Intriguing.
The smell of breakfast wafts through the air. Familiar breakfast. Human breakfast. Pancakes, waffles, muffins, biscuits, tea, coffee, even various syrups and jams. A familiar Spoink walks out of the room carrying a platter that happens to have toast and jam, as well as a pot of tea and a cup.
Tucker's nose goes quite active with all the breakfast smells, because I think we could all agree that breakfast has the most pleasant aromatic smell of any mealtime.
Yes, sir.
A pleasant, honey-sweet citrusy scent.
Yes.
Well, Ryder's gonna approach the chef and start questioning them.
Questioning them how?
Where were you on the night of the 8th?
No, more along the lines of, as a Gallade, I am interested. How did you go about evolving?
I'm trying to remember out of character. I think, don't Gallade require a shiny stone or something?
I believe it was a Dawnstone.
I'll double check it for you.
Dawnstone- Yeah, it's either a shiny stone or a Dawnstone. I think shiny stone is specifically to get Forges, whereas a Dawnstone is to get a Gallade or a Frostlass.
The latest Melcurlia and Dawnstone. Yep.
Yeah. The chef informs them that they evolved in the usual manner, though they required a Dawnstone in order for it to work.
Thank you for your time. And then they will walk away.
Ralph shall procure 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 pieces of toast and some jam and butter, and he's gonna try to build a toast house.
A toast house.
Yes.
The chef and the assistants are initially very confused by Ryda not wanting any breakfast, and then they recognize, oh wait, that's Ryda. Of course they don't. One of the assistants makes a breakfast plate for Ryda anyway. Just in case. Meanwhile, Ralph's request is indulged.
Nice.
Awesome.
You are
That was
also
the,
given a very small butter knife with which to spread the jam and such.
Nice, nice.
Almost
Nice.
as if they know what you're intending to do with it.
Seeing the breakfast spread, so Tucker also ends up thinking of a request. He wriggles his tail, kind of having some memories seeing this surprisingly human platter. He asks the Gallade,
Is it possible, could you make rattata pancakes?
They tilt their head briefly. Blink.
It's when you...
he tries to remember from his past. It's something that he does inherently know, but he's having trouble digging it back up.
You pour some batter, and then you pour some batter on another side, and then another side, and then you have rattata ears.
It's a Mickey Mouse pancake. I see.
I was gonna say I know what this is going for, and that's cute. I was expecting it to be like a spiral pancake
That's also an idea.
because ratatatails.
That is also a good idea.
It takes a few moments, but the Gallade does eventually recognize what you're talking about, even if not by that specific name. They ask if you want hash browns.
Yes, of course.
They set one of their assistants to do the work.
For
This
anybody
one
not
happened-
if there's some people confused, a Mickey Mouse pancake, if you know the Mickey Mouse insignia, it's basically one big circle with two circles off the side for these ears. Mickey Mouse pancakes are a thing that kids actually got in real life. Like, that's a classic children's pancake, actually. I actually am taking that from my own history, in fact, on that one.
I mean, dino pancakes and stuff, yeah?
I assume they have alternative sources of protein here.
Yeah.
They do.
I guess I'll look for sausage or something.
Well,
Like a soy bean sausage.
so long as you ask, it is probably around, unless it's
Okay.
terribly obscure. So if you have a specific request, go ahead and ask.
Well, Brooke would be interested in ordering fish for breakfast if they would oblige that.
The Gallade, for some reason, seems to turn their chef's toque slightly on their head by a manner of a few degrees, and they pull out a series of particularly sharp-looking knives and ask you what kind you want.
Oh.
And in front of them, several small signs flip down from being various little names of breakfast items and flip up to several different types of fish. Febass, Goldine, Magikarp. There's at least 6 varieties. I am not going to name all of them because I am a lazy.
And also, yes, Tucker will absolutely drown his pancakes in butter and syrup.
That's okay, they have plenty.
Isn't Magikarp supposed to be an animal?
That happens to be a lie. Would you like me to demonstrate?
I'd be very interested.
The little signs flip down. The table in front of them seems to just flip itself, revealing a cooktop as well as, well, a dead Magikarp. Expertly using knives as well as the blades on its arms, the Gallade is able to peel off the hardened exterior and scales, revealing a precious amount of soft flesh beneath. They explain to Brooke while they do this process, which seems way more complex than they're actually making it appear, that Magikarp are generally inedible because of the scales and the lack of a large amount of flesh beneath. That and their tendency to evolve into rampaging Gyarados at the slightest sign of danger. Something that hasn't changed in many, many years. The only fish Pokemon that's even worse to consume is Alamolamola. They have absolutely no nutritive value whatsoever, so you won't find them in any sane shop. Probably a good thing, considering you happen to know one.
Brooke is very impressed.
You could ask what you would like with your breakfast fish.
Like maybe an omelet.
Did you want the fish in the omelet?
That would be wonderful.
Fish omelets. Kind of uncommon, but actually quite good.
The Gallade passes along the protein to one of their assistants, who proceeds to mix it into an omelet. You are handed a plate with a fork, a knife, and a little cup filled with ketchup, just in case.
Brooke is very happy today.
Florence and Noibat also order. Florence generally getting coffee as well as a coffee cake. Noibat, not knowing what to order, gets a little bit of everything. Then Luxray moves to order. They don't join you all at your table or wherever you decide to go eat for some time. When they do, they come by with a small plate and a sandwich.
Simple and effective.
It's a tuna sandwich. Or it looks like a tuna sandwich. It is decidedly not a breakfast food. Looks like something someone would have plucked out of a workplace refrigerator.
That's Florence's meal, to be specific?
No, that is Luxray's.
Oh, Luxray. Luxray is very by the books, I suppose, on his meals. Makes sense being a librarian.
He actually looks a bit disappointed. Not that he doesn't consume the sandwich anyway, but he doesn't look as happy with his meal as the rest of you. Florence, meanwhile, got a mug of coffee and a coffee cake. Hey, Ralph. How goes the building on your toast house?
Say again?
How goes the building on your toast house?
I don't know. I got 6 pieces, so I could put up 4 walls and then put 2 on top as a pitched roof.
You know what? First roll of the night. Give me a, Let's do a smart survival. Yeah, just, a smart... Yeah, let's just do smart survival for now. Because I'm not sure what else to do to make you craft food.
Also, I don't think I'm aware of this concept.
Yes.
This toast house concept. Is this a thing that people do? Actually, I've never heard of this one.
I don't know. It just popped into my head.
So, despite all odds, or maybe because of your own latent psychic abilities, you somehow managed to construct a decent-looking little house made of toast, jam, and possibly a bit of butter.
Nice.
This is like the non-gingerbread variety of gingerbread house.
Look, so long as you don't try to consume pre-made gingerbread houses, you'll be safe from death.
Are those bad? I was
They
wondering
taste
if they were.
awful!
The
Pre-made
preservatives in them
gingerbread
must
is
be
terrible.
Yeah.
Thankfully, this isn't gingerbread.
Nice. Now I'm gonna slide the whole thing into my mouth like I'm a big monster. I'm not gonna make sounds though, since there are people watching. Just
Well, you're not being watched, per se. Most of the other Pokemon who are eating around this time are minding their own business. Or reading.
By the way, Tucker eats his Mickey Mouse pancakes in an amusing way. He goes on the ears and basically just glomps and chops them off in big old bites before grabbing the middle sections and just kind of stuffing it into his mouth in one big labored bite too. Easier than buying off pieces letting it drop. You know how dogs are; they don't want to drop their food sometimes.
Meanwhile, Noibat has, rather than a plate or a tray, a basket filled with a variety of breakfast goods. Waffle, pancake, toast, cinnamon toast, chocolate-filled toast, cinnamon roll. The list could go on. Anything that wouldn't break apart immediately upon being put into a basket has been basically given to him. He stares at it, eyes are sparkling. They notice that Luxray is staring at the sandwich they have been given. Noibat then proceeds to scoot across the table and nudge the basket, to the best of their ability, over towards Luxray, and gestures to it with a wing. Luxray offers a sympathetic and thankful smile, but shakes their head. That's all right. That's for you. And you need to eat plenty if you're going to become big and strong. Are you not?
Well, I suppose, but I can't fit all this in me. I'd explode.
They hold out their wings. They aren't exactly as big as the basket. But, in any case, as shenanigans proceed and food is consumed...
You're not trying hard enough knowing that fat first. Yeah, I had that thought in the back of my head.
Just pats your face.
Meanwhile, Tucker actually ended up with quite the stack of pancakes that he stuffed into his belly, so... he pauses at this comment of not being able to fit things inside. It's like, well, I'm just gonna go back to my pancakes. It's back.
So what is Ryda doing while everyone else is eating?
I imagine Rido at some point was like, oh, everyone's eating. Right, I have to eat. I'll go get food now.
Ryda is handed the breakfast plate that was prepared for them. It's a simple breakfast. It's the breakfast that Ryda always asks for.
Tucker's actually gorging more than normally because this place is actually a fairly safe space aside from those illusions anyways. So after all the adrenaline rushes, he kind of wants to eat a lot of calories.
Understandable. By the way, Ralph, as you are slowly consuming the toast house that you have created, you smell something delicious. Someone passes you by. It looks like they have a cube of carbonara almost, but breakfast. The Reuniqueless floats by you. They seem particularly pleased with their selection.
Tucker actually is kind of impressed by Ralph's toast house. He's watching it as he munches on his pancakes. He actually will quip.
Wow, Ralph, that's really impressive.
Thank you. I did it so I could feel like I was eating a house. Right.
I think I'm most impressed you haven't eaten it yet. I figured you'd stop building it and just munch on it at some point.
Yeah. Oh. No, I had to finish first. So I could eat the whole house.
Tucker does a little paw clap together for his self-control. Little applause.
The hunger isn't as unbearable and constant and all the time anymore since I evolved. It's really nice.
Tucker earnestly does nod to that.
I have noticed that. It's good to see you able to control it. Well, maybe I'm not controlling it too well today, though.
He kind of considers over his stack of pancakes. Pancakes are dense. If you've had a whole bunch of pancakes, if you ever gone to like IHOP and done their endless pancakes, you feel it after a while.
Yeah.
And Tucker's starting to fill too, but he doesn't stop. He keeps eating.
Noibat pokes their head out of the basket. They seem to have dived in at some point. Their mouth is full with what appears to be some sort of crunchy breakfast dessert treat.
The house looks delicious, Ralph.
Yes,
Noibat's head is gently pressed back down into the basket by Florence, who is still sipping their coffee. Don't talk with your mouth full, lad. Noibat still manages a muffled squeak.
While Ralph is building and eating his house, Ryder will be staring at him intently, analyzing his house.
It's gonna they're gonna grade it.
At some point during the breakfast, one of the two Ndidi from the front desk will approach your table, and they will set down a little letter of sorts, a folded note. It happens to have a wax seal, one that looks like Mewtwo's face. They bow and leave wordlessly.
Tucker thinks about reaching for it, but then realizes both his snout and paws are quite sticky of maple syrup at this point, or whatever equivalent they have. So he decides not to.
Brooke will pick it up and read it.
Brooke, your omelet was delicious.
Why do you think he hasn't said anything for the last 20 minutes?
Savoring the sweet taste of egg and fish and delicious. Just imagine what else they can probably make in here. As I say this as I go, like, reaching to the side for a Gatorade or a drink or anything that isn't there. The letter reads, "Hopefully you've slept well. I'll be waiting up in my study when you're ready. I instructed the Ndidi to give this to you when you were found in the dining area. I'm not sure if you're going to wake up during breakfast, lunch, or dinner, so I just told them to look out. Don't worry about waking me. It's fine. I can always catch up on sleep later."
Sounds like we've got an appointment with the boss man.
Tucker gives a responsive as he finishes his pancakes and nods.
Lovely.
Dogs, man.
Next one. Gives a thumbs up. Ralph gives a thumbs up.
Ryder will then mimic Ralph's thumbs up.
When Brooke says lovely, Tucker just smiles sweetly, which is very easy for him to do, considering how much maple syrup is on his snout.
Brooke pats him on the head. Well, if we're all ready, we can head upstairs.
Tucker will make a request for... Well, he probably has a bowl of water already, so he'll wash his paws a little bit before using a napkin, because they're too sticky for just a napkin alone at this point.
If you ask for it, someone will help you with a warm cloth to help wash you off.
He used a lot of syrup.
Surprisingly, most of the psychic types around here aren't terribly wary of you, in spite of the fact that you're a psychic type. But that might partially be because they can sense you at the moment, given you currently have a twisted spoon in your scarf.
Tucker picks up on the fact that he's, more or less accepted in this situation. He does appreciate that spoon. It's too bad that he'll have to give it up, but he likes the connection, surprisingly.
It's a borrowed spoon, alas.
Maybe he can buy one sometime.
Ah, the ever-expensive spoon.
Well, it's a special spoon, though. It's not just any spoon.
True.
That's why it's expensive.
I wish I could buy more spoons. Sometimes I don't have enough for the day. For those that are unaware, I will occasionally refer to energy as spoons because it's easier to quantify.
Nice.
Wait, what? You quantify what as what?
Energy.
Energy as spoons.
Energy, motivation to do things, etc. It is something one of my friends taught me, and it's actually quite appropriate.
Huh.
And it's very easy for me to just tell some of my friends, like, I just don't have enough spoons today, and they understand.
If I said I don't have enough forks today, what does that mean?
I don't know. I think it's also supposed to be a form of joke involving the room.
Like the movie?
Yes.
Oh. I don't remember spoons in that movie being a set piece.
I don't know.
Spoon theory. Okay.
I had a friend... spoon theory. Is that actually a thing? Spoon theory? That may have been what they were referring to.
It sounds like a thing when you put it that way.
I mean, it could be any object that you could just line up and use to quantify how much energy you have for certain amounts of things. Like how much things are and are not, and etc. It's an entire thing. Apologies, I went off on a tangent. In any case, the walk up to the head librarian's office isn't as arduous for you today as it was before. Though part of that may be because you all have actually gotten a decent amount of rest and food. It may or may not have struck you all at this point that Savantown does not exactly have the most food.
Nah, it's kind of close to rationed sometimes.
I think Brooke was already aware of that, at least.
Oh yeah. But it's just a point that's hit home because, well, you're on another continent, and even if it's a self-sufficient zone, they happen to have plenty of food.
They're not left wanting.
That said, the opening to Mewtwo's office happens to slide itself out of your way just as it did before, almost like a rotating curtain or panel, allowing you all to pull yourselves up and into the cozy little office that he happens to have. Almost predictably, Mewtwo is asleep on their lounger. They happen to be wearing a blue shirt today. It happens to have another symbol on it. This one looks like a a trio of red triangles all rotating around and overlapping each other. Luxray stares at Mewtwo as if that's going to wake him up. Florence just folds his arms and then proceeds to sip more coffee.
Tucker may well be the last one in the room having to lug pancake belly. He sees Mewtwo and does not look surprised whatsoever. What's that?
Nothing.
Okay.
He said not to worry about waking him up, so Brooke will just nudge him. Good morning.
Mewtwo's eyes open one after the other in relatively short, if asynchronous succession. They blink a few times, yawn, stretch, roll onto their back so that they're looking upside down at Brooke. Arms flop backwards above their head over the edge of the lounger. Oh, I was wondering when you all would arrive. Did you know you all have been out for 2 days?
2... What?
To be exact, 46 hours, and he takes a minute to do the mental calculation. 48 minutes, and counting.
Wait, that's how long they were sleeping?
Tucker kind of cocks his head.
Approximately. Though I suppose some of that was spent getting up and eating.
Tucker just kind of blinks.
Didn't feel that long.
I didn't think we were that tired.
Considering all you've been through, it's unsurprising. Your bodies need to adjust to the personal growth you've gone through. After all, we Pokemon evolve through strife and hardship. We grow stronger. Stretching again, they sort of try to sit themselves up. And then they just give up and flop to the lounger again. They haven't even bothered to float themselves. One of you had a question. Ryda. You had a question I couldn't answer before.
That is correct.
You wanted to know about the Dark Star. Isn't that right?
Dead Star.
Ah, right. Not like the name matters. They sort of wave one hand lazily off to the side. They both reference the same thing. Oh, this is going to require getting up. They wiggle a bit. They roll over, and with a soft thud, they land on the floor. You feel like they could have prevented that. Okay. Nope. I need coffee too. They rasp in their normal voice.
Have you been also sleeping for 2 days, Mr. Mewtwo?
Well, he's not having mine, Florence says, still sour. It takes a second for Mewtwo to pick themselves up and stand. They put their hands to the base of their tail and crack their back. This feels strangely mortal of Mewtwo, considering his flippant disregard for reality earlier. Not quite. While you were gone, we had a visitor I needed to attend to. Nothing to worry about. I sent them packing. They wave a hand and manage to conjure themselves a cup of steaming coffee. They take a sip, blink a few times, squint. They conjure a wetter spoon and add some honey to it, stir, and then proceed to sip again.
That comment makes Tucker curious. He'll actually kind of inspect over Mewtwo, since he is acting a bit differently too, at least a little less, well, psychic than normal. He's gonna just look over Mewtwo, see if Mewtwo has any, like, scuffs, bruises, injuries, anything like that.
Nope. It could be possible that they just didn't feel like floating themselves.
True.
But, I mean, why not? Unless they're just being that lazy.
True. Lazy is one thing, but,
they do seem legitimately tired to some extent.
Noted.
Sighing, they stare at the cup, then tilt their head back and down the entire thing in a single goal. Swallowing, they shake their head, and then begin to float again. Right. Sorry. They give you all an easygoing smile, tired eyes resuming their rather friendly expression. I suppose I should take you to where the forbidden books are. They roll one hand in a circle and point towards the shelves that are against one wall in their office. They fold in on themselves, opening up to a white space. Mewtwo gestures for you to enter.
Rydo will be the first to walk on through.
Ooh. Forbidden.
When you say white space, is it just a white void of sorts?
Kind of. It looks like that from where you currently are.
Okay. Let us enter the mirror room door in Super Mario 64 DS then.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tucker will enter.
So, Mewtwo, is this where you keep your lemons? Yeah?
Mewtwo gives Ralph something of a pitying look. I can't exactly reproduce, Ralph. Besides, I could have anyone I wanted, I guess. They seem uncertain of that prospect, all things considered.
He shrugs, he goes in. So what could be so forbidden knowledge that no one except us, the great heroes, can know about? Let's see.
Ralph's question is actually decent. Tucker will look around the bookshelves if there are any, anyways.
Well, I'll describe the space in a second. Mewtwo will actually start nudging Brooke through as well, and mutter, "Does Ralph always think that he's part of a story?"
I'm never sure what Ralph is thinking.
Good thing I'm not hit diving today.
Brooke will enter.
They smile, and start to sort of leisurely float their way through, and they pause. They regard Noibat, Florence, and Luxray for a moment. And then they shut the door behind them.
Interesting.
Well, that was rude, Florence says, stuck in the office with the other two, sipping at his coffee. Luxray just sighs and begins tidying up the office, even though there's very little to tidy. Noibat decides to explore.
Bard will remember that.
We can now swap tunes to number 9.
Okay.
This does not start loud, but it does get loud.
Got it. Wonder if the previous volume works. Let's see. Ah, this one. Okay.
That title is concerning.
Yeah, I think the volume the previous song was on is probably fine for this one. Since the start's kind of quiet, it'll get louder. Yeah, that'll probably work.
As you enter this almost blindingly white space, you all become aware of tessellating cubes shadowed by this light, giving you a vague idea of their location and size. Pulsing, flickering, moving in waves across walls that suggest a large open hallway, or a particularly large room, like a chapel or a vault. It's strangely silent in here, and yet each of you can feel, rather than hear, a sort of static buzz every time the tessellating wave of cubes marks its passage. Rida included. You two, for their part, has their psychic glow about them, but they seem to be walking, hands behind their back, rather than actually flying their way across the space, keeping steady and even pace with the rest of you. In fact, slowly surpassing the rest of you. As you proceed, he stops and points to an object in the vague distance. It looks like a series of lockers, or drawer cabinets. Or is it shelves? As you gaze upon this object that seems to be the center point of this vault space, it seems to shift. Each time it's a different sort of container for knowledge, for information. Ralph would even recognize a set of server banks at one point.
Say again?
Ralph would even recognize the central object to transform into a set of server banks at one point before it shifts to something else. There. This is where all the forbidden knowledge, he says. You can almost sense the air quotes that he's giving you. Of my tower resides. Of course, Rida happens to know of the physical location of the forbidden books. These are the things that I cannot trust others to have.
I see. So, your heart must be like, sounding like a heckin' 40-person drumline right now. If you let us in here.
Not particularly.
He said, yeah, I suppose so. It's not like we can just commit anything in here to memory on the fly. Plus, don't you have the whole memory messing with thing? If one of us were to, open one of these books and try to memorize some forbidden knowledge, you could just be like, how about no? And then we'd be like, what?
I'm gonna let Kyrio type for a bit.
Me too.
Good time for another reminder for stretching and hydration. To enjoy this tune that probably will not come up very often.
Yeah, I could say it returning, but not commonly. I'm still trying to understand the general environment. It basically kind of has a server rack-like appearance.
The area itself is... The best description is a sort of meta space. It's this white void that has these pulsing dark impressions of many tessellated cubes going along its edges and frame.
Oh, okay. Okay. Kind of like some physical depictions of like cyberspace in video games.
Yeah, kind of. Though the place you're approaching is shifting between various states of this is where knowledge would be kept. Like a library shelf, cabinets, lockers, server banks. The space you are in is very clearly not a form of real space. Though that might be difficult for someone like Tucker to grasp.
It is difficult for Tucker. He is intrigued by all the lights, though, and all the general form of everything is abstract to him, largely. Especially based on his fragmented memories.
And that's totally okay, Kyrio, I understand. That is a good question, at least. I didn't really expect to be granted access to something completely forbidden, Orc says. Not complaining, but I can't help but wonder why.
Tucker interjects, adds on to the end of that, actually, and goes,
I'm kind of wondering why you trust us. We haven't known you that long.
Mewtwo sort of turns back to you all, at this point having gotten ahead of you, and they start to float backwards, though they don't seem to hover very far above the ground as they do so. How good of a judge of character do you think I am? They seem to be asking honestly. They're smiling. They're still acting casual and friendly, in spite of this strange domain they've drawn you into.
Tucker thinks about it for a second. Bumping his chin.
Well, I don't know exactly, but I've been judging your character to be pretty good, so I guess it's the same way for you.
What about you, Ralph Wilson?
You know my last name? I don't think. Oh, right.
Mewtwo happens to smirk at the reaction just a little bit. I know you've been out for 2 days. Well, that's a bit of a strange reaction coming from someone as smart as you.
Yeah, as smart as I am, though, I can only really come up with one logical explanation to you being here.
Tucker sort of tilts his head, looking at Ralph.
Oh, my aunt.
Oop, what?
My aunt just got home.
Oh.
But we're I was a bit lost in thought. What am I being asked?
Mewtwo is asking, the team as a whole, what kind of judge of character they think Mewtwo is? Since most of them seem to be wondering why they're being given access to this.
Okay, I thought I missed something, but I didn't. I didn't miss anything. It's funny, I thought my mind was wondering, but it really wasn't.
And Tucker basically answered, well, he's not sure, but he's been judging Mewtwo's character to be pretty solid and genuine, just based on how long they've known him. So I guess it must be the same way for Mewtwo. And then I guess you two addressed you as Ralph Wilson, and I didn't actually catch the part after that. I missed the line.
Well, I had commented on that, like, he hadn't told you his last name, and then he was like, oh, right, psychic, duh.
I see.
And he thinks for a moment, you're surprisingly hospitable, considering...
I imagine you have analyzed us much more than we perceived.
Wow. He scratches the back of his head. Am privy to some information about Mewtwo that, well, most other Pokemon aren't, unless you've told them, of course. He, holds his hand up to Mewtwo. Unless you've told other Pokemon.
Tucker kind of interjects, looking up at Ralph and asking,
Wait, so you knew Mewtwo before?
I knew of him before. Obviously, being such a powerful Pokemon, we didn't exactly spread it around that there existed a Pokemon that could, wipe the memories of an entire city.
Mewtwo seems to be growing increasingly amused, although their expression doesn't exactly change drastically as it increases. They stop floating. Well, they stop floating before the object, the altar of knowledge, as it might be called. It seems to have solidified into something that seems to be a mix between a library shelf and a series of computer banks. Brooke kind of squints, but shrugs. I think you're too cautious to go off gut feelings, and too smart to judge us based on our behavior when around you. So how good of a judge of character you are doesn't seem to be the reason you're doing this. So you must know something about us that we don't. Maybe. Ding. They hold up one bulb-tipped finger. Bingo. You may have noticed, but I happen to know a lot. Most legendaries know a lot. Probably more than they should. But that's part and parcel with basically being gods. Whether they want to or not, the majority of legendaries have servants everywhere. Eyes and ears everywhere. If you're in their domain, they know about you. How much or how little depends. But given my nature, and the fact that I'm not quite divine, it stands to reason that, whether I wanted to or not, I would analyze you to some extent. But I've known about Pokemon like you for a long time. What's so amusing is the fact that I know one of you. Are you muted, Charm?
no, I'm not muted.
Okay,
Not
because
at
I
the
saw the
moment.
Discord thing going nuts.
It did? Oh, that's
Ralph, yeah.
Yeah, it was
Ralph,
doing
like,
the flicky
opens. Ralph, like, opens his mouth, but no words come out. He closes his mouth. And then suddenly he realizes, well, even if you didn't tell anyone else what I know about you, they might know now, because I was thinking about it an awful lot, and, maybe I was thinking loudly, and maybe others might have heard me.
U2 inhales, exhaling a sigh. Their expression becomes harder to read. They barely lift one arm before one of these strange book computer things slides out of place. And then it falls into his palm and opens. It flickers with a cool neon blue light. Symbols, letters, numbers, they dance across the internal surface, half projected just above the main body of the device. The dead star, the dark star, whatever you want to call it. In a way, it's similar to me, just worse. Something artificial. They cast the device into the air, and the entire area changes. The tessellating cubes flicker and pulsate wildly. And then it becomes dark. Pinpricks of light start to pierce through, and below you is the world. A blue and green marble, cast in painted swaths of white from the clouds. Above and about, the void of space. Distant comets and stars moving lazily. And almost out of nowhere, some great metal construction. A shimmering, insidious silver thing glides across much of the vision you have of the area, this projection. Brooke, Ralph, and Tucker, they make a smart logic roll.
Okay.
Oof. Tubby? Oh. You got aggro.
Yeah, I mean.
I need you to make a smart logic roll, please.
All right, let's take a look at.
Tucker is a bit wowed by the entire environment, projection or not. Standing in space was not something he expected to be doing today.
Right. You don't recognize this construction, and Brooke and Tucker wouldn't either, but Ralph would. It's a satellite. A massive satellite, fit to be a station in and of itself.
Interesting.
The Dark Star is an artificial creation. It was a system, a tool, one that outgrew its creators. As he begins to regale you of this tale, there's a flash of light and a burst of flame against this satellite. Rayquaza, roaring silently across this projection, spiraling upward. Attacking the satellite. It took multiple legendaries to deal with it. It became an existential threat. One that was made in a time long before, and has attempted periodically ever since to bring its plans to fruition. What was this thing created to do, Burgess? Yuchi pauses. He seems to search for a moment for that information, as if it's buried somewhere deep. The projection shifts, careening downward around you, filling you all with a sensation of falling briefly, before you find yourselves deep, deep underground. A strange Pokemon that some of you may or may not recognize, black and green, and almost serpentine in nature. It sits in something of a cave, moss and crystal growing about it, a myriad entrances and exits, holes all around the walls. It has its attention directed specifically at one hole. It rumbles and collapses. Chains sprout from the very earth and bind that exit. Another careening shift as Mewtwo continues to think, almost as if this illusion is just a playback, supposed to show you who was involved. There's flickering images, Groudon, Kyogre. Both of them are involved somehow. Great earthen structures rising, tides crashing over spaces, washing away facilities, sending them beneath the waves or to utter ruination, or hiding something vast beneath the earth. I don't think we ever really fully understood what it was doing. The one claim that we all remember is it wanted to bring order to the world. As innocent as that might sound. The Dark Star was wounded gravely. Approximately 300 years ago, its servants were slain, defeated en masse. Its vessel, the satellite shown before. He pauses, waving a hand as the projection shifts upward to the gleaming silver mass. Already, it's floating further and further out of view, around its orbit about the planet. But it was not destroyed. Most legendaries are content to believe that it is dead, or that it has been forced into submission. That is why they fear your presence, and the activity of its servants. He gestures to the three here, varying aspects. You all show telltale signs of being more servants for it. There are sparks in you. I can't see them precisely, but I know the divine can. The stronger legendaries will be able to see right through you, to your core. But I can tell that there is something different about the three of you. Almost as if reality itself is warping around your space. The projection starts to fade, and he holds out his hand, collecting up the book. He shuts it, and allows it to float back to its space on the shelves. The Dead Star. Not Pokemon, not human. A thing. A thing bent on enforcing order as it saw it upon the world. A greater good. As you can tell, we did not agree. Their head is lowered, and they're starting to look away, almost as if they are ashamed. I was not so different once.
Tucker pipes up a little bit.
Sometimes people believe they're right when they're not. We've seen it ourselves.
Ralph's hands are folded like under his chin, like he is in big think mode, like it's the oh shit, Ralph looks serious face.
Whatever you did in the past, Mr. Mewtwo, you consider others now, and so you can actually do right.
This thing, the satellite, the Dark Star, it's dude, the voice, this thing, the satellite, the Dark Star, it's the reason that humans were all but eradicated from this world, isn't it?
Yes. He
And it
speaks
seems
both
my
in your mind.
suspicions are correct.
Mewtwo has begun to speak both in your minds and with his rasping voice.
Tucker hangs his head as he tries to process all this, and that's all.
Since I'm pretty sure what happened to us, and Ralph turns actually to the rest of the party. I'm pretty sure what happened to us. And by extension, I know who can explain the finer details. Of course, it's not exactly a Pokemon who's just gonna, have their contact information listed in the yellow pages. It might be hard to hear, but I suppose you guys are ready to hear what I'm pretty sure I figured out.
Tucker does a hesitant nod.
Does Brooke have something to say before Ralph reveals his hypothesis?
I agree. I want Brooke to have a chance to speak.
I wanted to wait. Also, I'm sorry I haven't given Ryda very much to react to.
It's fine.
No problem, Kyrio.
Right, I got their answer, and they're starting to spiral in their own mind.
Oh no, the madness is setting in.
Well, considering some things don't line up now that they know, canonically. Oh, these guys aren't from here, so what's going on?
Yeah, I didn't intend to break Ryda this early, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I love breaking Ryda and putting them back together. It's a lovely game.
Fair says Ryder
This is
doesn't react
a
much.
good one.
Fair says Ryder doesn't react much to anything, to be honest. I disagree. I think Ryder does. It's just they're analytical about it. Would be nice to know their analytical take on things a little more often, though, I suppose.
To quote Chrono Trigger, yet the future refused to change.
A lot of Ryder's thoughts are sort of circle thinking, so it's like, re-saying what just happened, and then like, but wait a minute, it means this, and then it goes on to like a conspiracy theory type thinking.
I hope you all are enjoying this kind of war dump.
I very much am.
Indeed. I'm glad I have a really smart character that remembers most of his past. Otherwise, I'd be dying because I would have figured it out, but I have no in-character way of revealing that information.
Well, Tucker's current state, as I let Kyrio type, Tucker's just, there's a lot to take in. The one thing he locked down on was that Mewtwo clearly did something in the past that he regrets, and well, that triggered Tucker's desire to give a pep talk. Honestly,
Yeah, Mewtwo is doing their best to not look at all of you at the moment. Go ahead and say your hypothesis, Brooke can go after. Okay. So Ralph may say his hypothesis.
okay.
So, I propose, I'm pretty sure, that we didn't exactly travel to a different world when we came. He moves his hand around here. We're still on Earth, I think. I don't think we moved places or dimensions or worlds. I'm pretty sure we just moved time. I suspect that when we woke up as Pokemon, we didn't just woke up in new bodies. But we woke up hundreds, if not, he shrugs, thousands of years in the future. I mean, he scratches and said, it's not too far-fetched when I was a human that we would build a massive, super intelligent satellite, but he squints his eyes. It would be a massive effort, even for the technology we had then, so I don't know how far after we were taken that Doomsday happened. He looks at Mewtwo, and I suspected it since we got here and I saw Mewtwo. He looks back at the rest of... This wasn't common knowledge, like I said before. Most trainers, didn't know this Pokemon existed. I knew it had to be the same one, because there is only one. He looks at Mewtwo, there's still only one, right? Unless he made another.
They make more. What's...
Oh, that's not good. He turns to the rest of you. Anyway, I knew it had to be the same one, because you see, Mewtwo's not a natural Pokemon. We created him. Like, in a laboratory, like we would build a machine, we built Mewtwo, and he moves his hand to Mewtwo. He was specifically designed to be the most powerful Pokemon in the world. They did a pretty good job. I mean, he's not a god, but they did a pretty good job of making him really, really powerful.
Kyrio. Oh, that's not good. Anyway.
Tucker does interject in the middle of that. When Ralph took responsibility for Mewtwo's creation, Tucker went, "You did." He's been confused.
Me.
But yeah, go ahead.
Not me in specific, I wasn't one of the scientists on the scene. It was just that as a member of the scientific community, I was privileged to that information.
Tucker thinks about this for a second, kind of looking between Mewtwo and Ralph for a bit. I don't think I can understand a lot of this, but I can understand it isn't good. The bad things happened.
I'm sorry. They look to Rida. The answer to your question is terrible. What you are involved in is terrible. And I am powerless to stop it.
At this point, Rida is now staring at the ground, not looking at any of you.
So, humans made a big mistake. Again. Big surprise. Funny how often that happened, Burke says, a little spitefully. Maybe it's better that they're gone. Maybe. But they aren't gone. They keep getting drawn here. Across time, space, across worlds. And usually, it's because of the one on high. Usually. Now that you all are here, my hypothesis is proven. How it got so many servants so quickly. To do so silently. It wasn't just using old facilities or constructing new ones. It was following example. Almost ironically, really. What terrifies me is how. That guest I told you about before. A servant that can travel time. They lift their head. Their eyes are slightly bloodshot, as if they've been crying. Their expression is still one of shame, sorrow. They're finding it hard to break. As if a memory is nagging at them and they can't make it go away. I sent them packing, easily enough. But there's no way that that single servant should be capable of drawing others here. Its master is capable of doing what only the one on high is able to in most cases. But the fact that I know one of you must be weak if it's not drawing from other realities.
Ralph takes a big breath through his nose. I think I know who the next all-powerful being we gotta talk to is. He smirks a little to add a little bit of humor to the situation. He's like, is Dialga still Lord of Time? Actually, shit, would Ralph know that? Hold up, that might be breaking character.
Well, for
I'm
one,
not sure
also,
Ralph
were you
would
guys
know
able
that.
to hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because Wolf was saying they had a hard time hearing me.
The whispers
I
are
apologize.
whispers, but, you know.
Yeah, I apologize if I was a little low. It's hard to do the voice and do it loud enough.
Yeah, while still sounding
That's-
somber. Actually,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna rescind that because I don't think Ralph would know that Dialga's the Lord of Time.
Okay.
I apologize.
So yeah, I'm gonna rescind that. I was a little bit of meta knowledge creeping.
Is there a problem, guys? Hey, Tubby, stop.
Huh? Oh,
You're messing stuff up.
oh crap!
Your hand started moving the mat, and you've been blindfolding yourself. What's wrong with your keyboard? Is there anything going on?
I was just like cleaning it in between lines.
Oh, oh, you
Oh.
you elbowed your keyboard. I see.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just cleaning it in between lines.
You actually unlocked the. Hold on a second. Let me relock that. You pressed a lot of keys. Actually, I hope you didn't. I think you were just on the mat though. Oof. All right then.
I apologize.
That's okay. Tucker actually has his own head lowered at this point, his eyes shut as he really is having a harder and harder time processing everything. One thing he does express as he does so is,
So we didn't travel to another world. We traveled to a different time. The future, then? I guess. Which means everything that I can remember isn't here anymore.
It's hard to tell if Michi's expression is sympathy or pity. It seems even a legendary cannot stop itself from crying. Yes. Their voice is steady, returning to the telepathic communication. Yes.
Tucker just kind of does a small nod. He kind of seems like he might cry too, but for the moment he's holding it together.
I don't know what my place is in this world yet. But this does change how I look at it a little.
I'm going to wait until Kyrio finishes typing this time.
This is fair.
I'm actually going to get up and get a little Gatorade bottle I have in the fridge. Stretch and hydrate, people.
Ooh, stretch and hydrate.
Yeah, I simultaneously, I didn't want to interrupt Brooke, but also I totally know what Tucker would be feeling in this situation, so it did need to be expressed.
Yes, and this will also help me reset my volume so that people can hear me.
Sorry, I haven't been chiming in much. It's just a lot of... Ryder doesn't want to speak right now.
That is okay.
Tucker always
the
had...
most you would see is, like, expressions of just them putting their hands on their head.
Tucker appreciates both his time in the world he knew and the world he's in, but he never considered that they were the same one before now. Recap. Let's see then. U2 says he knew what... Yeah, let's see. U2 says he knew one of them before. Team Charem has been drafted to be in service of Death Star. Sort of, yes. Like, that's certainly the intention of the Death Star. And perhaps all the other humans before had been too. Or they've been wiped out. I feel like there's a lot more than just that, too. This has been quite the story episode. Yeah, Hyper, right? Like, it's a bit to process. The other humans brought there. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Ryder has to process the fact that, you know, it's been confirmed they're human, so they don't actually know Brooke. And so, what is going on with their memories?
Wait, who's human?
You guys.
Yeah,
well, technically.
very true.
Well, okay. Here's one thing that can help reconcile that. Just potentially like meta knowledge, but also helping Ryder reasoning. They don't know if their mistress was or was not human. They might have been.
I guess that is fair.
Is this the first time Ryder heard that we were human? I thought that was...
Yep.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep.
I thought for some reason that had come up before, because, I mean, it's been called out several times, actually, in the game. I just thought Ryder was there for one of it. Okay.
I don't think that's come up at any point since Ryder has joined the team.
Oh, okay.
I think there was a point in one of the RPs with Brooke where it was briefly mentioned. That they were human. I think that was...
Oh, that's right. But that was not during game time, so of course I didn't remember that. But I recall that Ryder reacted not so great to that.
Yeah, they, you know, started having sort of mental breakdown to start.
It might be one of those cases where something gets hidden from somebody simply because everybody thought they already knew. Which actually does happen IRL. Like, that happens sometimes. Why did you keep this knowledge from me? Oh, I thought somebody else told you.
Oh, did I tell them during the Dragon's Path episode?
See, during the Dragon's Path, I thought the dragons called it out. But I wasn't sure.
Wait! Wasn't Ryder unconscious?
They were!
Yeah.
That's the missing link. That's the missing point. I forgot.
Ah.
They were unconscious for part of it, not the full thing, though.
Yeah, and Wolf is mentioning, like Brooke told them, I don't think it was a directly saying, oh yeah, we're human. I think it's been bits and pieces that's sort of been subtly hinting at it, and it's been less of a more direct slap in the face than now.
Yeah.
Remember, Rita is very literal, so unless you say, oh yeah, we're human, they're sort of just, like, not putting it together, all that.
Right, they won't fill the gap themselves because a gap's an assumption, and that's not something they really like to make.
Also, the assumption of, you know, human isn't something people typically jump to.
Yeah.
Yeah, considering they've been wiped out long enough for Pokemon to build up a sizable civilization with history that's been marked down. So humans been extinct here for a minute.
Yeah. Ooh. There's some good writings, by the way.
Yes. Here we go. Once, as a human, I was trapped in a valley. I heard a voice in my head that berated me for doing my Pokemon to die instead of lifting him up to live without me. Brooke smirks. For the record, Scales thought your advice sucked. But that did change the course of my life quite a bit. And what I remember from it. So I kind of feel like I owe you something. I have no desire to help this creepy thing. So if we can do something about it, then hey, I'm gung-ho. Mewtwo jerks briefly and snorts out a laugh, a smile cracking their sad expression. Of course you would say that. Thank you. Though now, my biggest regret is that I can do nothing. This tower is haven and prison both. And even were I to come into play, what could I do? And not the might of Zygarde, Rayquaza, and multiple others have been unable to destroy it.
Tucker steps forward for a second, having kind of collected himself. No, Brooke's right, though. I want to help, too. Even if a lot of this stuff flies over my head, and it's a lot to take in that what I thought was 2 worlds was 1, it doesn't matter, because there's people here worth saving. I'm gonna do everything I can to stop this. And you, Mewtwo? Maybe might is one thing, but you've already given us so much information. You've done a lot already. Don't count yourself out just because you're here and you can't go anywhere else.
Ralph will grin to add his like battle cry into. You just leave it up to us. We may not have, godlike powers and all that, like Rayquaza and all them, but humans are pretty good at destroying things, so I think it just needs our special touch.
This might be kind of wild for someone like me, Brooke says. But if the direct approach ain't working, then we'll just have to get creative.
That's something humans do good too. Because we're stubborn sometimes, like that.
Adaptive. Just like Pokemon. I suppose it lends all the more weight to the theory that humans are simply another form of them. Funny, then, for Pokemon to create an artificial Pokemon like me. Shaking their head, Mewtwo straightens up a bit, having begun to slouch over the course of the conversation. Unfortunately, the information I have is limited, and some of it outdated. The Dark Star is still at the Lagrange point, hovering in orbit. But it had facilities, places that were locked down or destroyed if they could be. It will require some amount of exploration, and perhaps more than a little help, if you wish to access them. And given what most of you are, it may be difficult to solicit help in that matter. Places like Claydol Cairn or Gas. I am unfamiliar with that room. It may have gone by a different name in a different time. But perhaps you will know the ruins by pulsing light. Lines like veins, glimmering to a heartbeat unseen. But I should warn you, these places are dangerous. These are places where it still holds sway. And it is unlikely that it will allow you to simply enter them without any sort of interference or resistance.
If going to these places means we can figure out how to stop this, and stop it from hurting and changing other Pokemon like I've seen, then I want to help. I want to go to these places, and I want to see what I can learn.
Changing. Mewtwo seems surprised. What do you mean, changing?
Tucker thinks about how to explain it for a bit and basically just relays what he's seen with Shaman and Vespiquen. The two most notable examples on the top of his head. That's a Fade to Black exposition, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I know. I wasn't going to expect you to. I'm just waiting for Kyrio.
Though I guess I will define... Yeah, that's fair. While we wait for Kyrio to type more, I guess to enunciate, just for the sake of the audience, Tucker is going to go over basically how both the Shaman and the Vespiquen, how their minds were effectively warped by what seems to be the same forces trying to play with us. Which indeed seems all linked to what they've learned today. In fact, Tucker even does pause it at the end of it.
I wonder if their idea of order is controlling how Pokemon feel and think and behave.
I'm actually trying to remember, were there any other examples besides Vespiquen and Shaman? Those are definitely the most notable examples of Pokemon who were warped either by their own response to what's going on or specifically to what they were given.
I believe the most recent example is necromancy.
Oh wait,
from the Mismagius.
Yes. Was Miss Mismagius involved in the gifts? I can't remember.
Not in the same way.
I can't remember
But-
if this force's influence was involving Mismagius too. So I didn't bring it up.
They explicitly beseech the Dark Star.
Oh, okay. I guess I may have fallen around that detail. Well, then that's part of the Fade to Black exposition.
Yep.
I shall retroactively say.
Shaman had augmentation, Vespiquen had vibration, and Mismagius had necromancy.
Ah. My apologies, memory is not always at top tier.
That is okay. I also appreciate that people really liked the whole mansion thing. I liked it a lot.
In that case, especially with the trifecta, Tucker will also make a point to point out that this force, that indeed seems to be the same force each time, took advantage of these Pokemon's sorrows, of their negative emotions, basically.
The cairn is a large underground dungeon with pulsing lights. It seems capable of moving around beneath the big plains. If anyone knows where more of these can be found, it's probably Pangoro, Brooke says. At Tucker's explanation, he adds, "We didn't start out with these powers either. I inherited mine from Shaman." Yuu's eyes have widened. He has one hand to his chin, and he seems to be muttering to himself.
Ralph,
in thought.
Ralph nods. Yeah, I didn't have mine at first either. I was sort of pulled aside during the gladiator fight at Sea Spray, and Amy describes the shiny entity the best he can. Pulled me aside and sort of gave me the first step to my power.
No. He mutters a bit before raising his voice to speak better to all of you. Strange how he can still mutter and whisper even telepathically. No. Each of you would have come here implanted with a power. That is the modus operandi. It would have been unable. Or at least, it's never been able. But then how did the shaman and the others? No, without seeing I can't be sure. How is it? What did it do? The servants. Do you know what they did prior to the infection?
Well, Tucker speaks up. For the most part, I don't think so, but there is Lizard. They also took one.
One. They look up, staring at Tucker with a somewhat frightening intensity.
It was at night.
Oh gosh, I have to remember what exactly was going through Lizard's emotional state and what was going on at the time to cause Lizard to want to take that. I don't actually completely remember because it was a while back.
We can say that you explain what you saw.
Fade to Black exposition, but also
Yes.
I specifically remember though, and Tucker will make particular note of how Lizard went out that night alone, and Tucker followed to see the entity, which was like stars, I think, that offered Lizard what it did. I can't remember what the entity looked like exactly, but I think it was like stars, right?
Mercury.
Mercury.
Liquid silver. I see. It's still around. The mirror. Mewtwo visibly shudders. Better that I am in here then. Better than serving as a source of mockery. It sounds as though they did something to Shaman. They used it as an incubator of sorts. They grew something, seeds. Nascent aspects, I suppose, as you have called them. And they're giving them to Pokemon who need them, in strife, in sorrow, those who are seeking strength. It is insidious, taking advantage of those in need whose prayers will remain unanswered. I remember. There was a flower. They removed it. That's when they became catatonic, Brooke says. A manifestation. The flowers on Shaman are symbiotic. Part of them. It became so infused with the aspect that they were bearing that when it was removed, it was like having a piece of their soul torn away. A normal shaman may have recovered normally with time. The shock of that removal. It's lucky they aren't dead. And you have the exact same power. I have no idea when they could have planted it in me, though. I don't think it was giving anything. I certainly wouldn't have done it so willingly. Mewtwo shakes their head. They wave their hand. The pulsating of the cubic texture around the room stops and solidifies, leaving white grid lines around the room, almost making it look like there's a bunch of black tile. The place is pretty huge for a vault that has what appears to be so little in it. You arrived here, already implanted. Something about the process of taking is likely used to give prospective servants these aspects. And somehow, some way, it is also able to imbue these aspects into Pokemon. Those that aren't taken from other spaces and times. Unfortunately, I don't know how. If I knew, I would tell you. But what I do know for certain is you were not implanted after. You were implanted during transit. Or at the very least, prior to your awakenings.
So we weren't even given a choice.
No. And that's the point. It's likely hoping that, eventually, the hardships that you suffer through these powers that you've gained, the strangeness of yourselves, the isolation it can cause, the need for answers, the need for control and strength, will drive you to it. And its servants, these watchers, of course they're going to help herd you to that same goal.
One thing
They're going
just...
to...
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Just one thing doesn't make sense about all this. If this force, this entity, wants order, then, well, all I saw with Shaman and Vespiquen and everything, it just causes disorder. It just messes up their minds. There's no order in that at all.
Perhaps it is malfunctioning now, degraded with time and damage. I can't say.
Either that or what it considers order is not the same as what we consider it.
Perhaps. Or perhaps it's playing a longer game than we can see. Unfortunately, I cannot give you safety outside of my tower. I can almost guarantee the servant that appeared here, the one you've called a butler, a ticking clockwork fiend. Magiana would be insulted. Whatever it once was, surely it was here to try and steal the information I'm currently giving you. After all, a better way to manipulate someone than keeping them in the dark and feeding them contextless pieces of information.
A little prompt. What is Ryda's thinking during all this? Is there anything that we can see from Ryda?
Ryda has... their expression has changed as of now. From before looking straight at the ground and you can't tell anything, they've sort of relaxed a bit. And they're still not really looking at you guys. But you can tell their mind has definitely changed topics.
One thing that's interesting, and I think maybe Tucker would pick up on this, though he wouldn't say anything, is that Ryda's kind of the odd one out as far as who was invited in here.
Ryda wanted answers.
True.
Ryda's question, Ryda gets to be here. Burke laughs. It shows the wrong humans then. I have no love of my human form. Ralph can come up with his own answers. And Tucker makes more friends than I can count. There's no way we'd come to them for anything. Nobody said that its process was perfect. But it selected you all for a reason. Make no mistake, it's going to use you at every chance it can. Its servants will use you every chance they can.
That's why we need to keep learning. Because without that, we don't know how it uses us.
I'm sorry that I cannot give you much more. I was not present for much of that war. But I can tell you that it's a good reason why many legendaries avoid the Plains combat. The images you saw, Zygarde beneath, the chained passage, it leads to the Plains combat, directly to its lair. And also, Groudon and Kyogre. Their purpose was to raise and destroy facilities there. At least one or two had to be entirely imprisoned. I have no doubt they probably function in some small way. And beyond them, there are other facilities and ruins elsewhere, not just on the Plains continent. Echoes of the human past. If the Dark Star can gain control of any of those ruins and what lies within, it could be unpleasant. Alas, they shrug, sighing wearily. I don't have a catalog of such ruins, nor what's in them. But can you blame me for wanting to forget places so painful to my personal past?
Tucker simply shakes his head, definitely understanding how he feels. So Ralph could talk a little bit here, probably. Just a thought. Records of ruins, huh? That's all I'll say for now. You can figure out the rest.
I would say Brookline well, Tubby thinks.
Yes.
I intend to use these things they've given us against them every opportunity, Burke says. I'm going to make it my mission to destroy this thing.
Tucker nods to that.
I'll say this: if its goal is to use isolation against me, then it should have just left me where I was. He looks up and then he looks around and smiles. Records of ruin. Yes, we have our next header.
Unfortunately, I can't really point you in a good direction. I'll only give you what I know. It's not much. But I can at least mark you welcome in my tower. If you will accept it. It's way more than we had, Brooke says. I'm grateful for everything. You two nods. I could mark you like acolytes, although I'm not exactly gifted like the divine to do so. Sorry for the massive exposition session.
I've been enjoying it. Even though I haven't said much.
Me too. Also, Tucker will not speak up about the mark thing because that seems like a leader decision. Car acted like we don't live for this exposition. Honestly, exposition is really well done when it's coming from you, Car. Especially good backing music.
This is good music for this.
I like this song a lot.
Yeah.
I actually should look up the original name for it, because I know people always ask, what's the music? What's the music? So, I'll look it up.
As an out-of-character note, Mewtwo cannot actually make you guys acolytes in the same way other legendaries can.
I was going to ask, what does it mean again to be an acolyte of a normal legendary?
So the general implication is that being an acolyte is similar to being, like, say, a cleric in Pathfinder to a deity of sorts, and they can lend you a portion of their power for your service.
Mm-hmm.
But that requires serving them in some capacity. Spoilers for those who haven't seen the glimpses, but Tiber's dad is an acolyte of Zygarde, or was. Because, you know, y'all don't know if he's still alive at the moment. He's old. And that allowed him to utilize moves that only Zygarde can learn normally. And potentially even made him stronger than normal. But there is a price you pay for dedicating yourself like that. Because one of the other implications is not all acolytes get to travel like, say, Florence and Tiber do. Or Tiber's dad do.
Some have to dedicate it in the region the legendary takes up shop in, so, for instance?
They might. And for other legendaries, it's unfeasible to make an acolyte. Is it like a covenant thing where we can only have one? I don't want to take Mewtwo token if it stops us from schmoozing another god. So the way Mewtwo's thing will work, and he will briefly explain if you ask, I'm not even going to do this in character, it's easier to explain this information this way, is he can put a mark on each of you. And while it's not going to confer any special abilities or anything, it will grant you all access to the tower. But on the flip side, that means he can tell where you are at basically all times. It doesn't mean he can leave the tower to come help you, but it means he can keep tabs on you.
Okay. Well, I think it seems like a leader decision more than anything else, though I guess it could be an individual character decision too. Simply to provide information for Brooke/Kyrio without dragging things down. I will say that if Brooke were to ask Tucker's opinion, or if Tucker would express his opinion on the matter, he would basically be fully trusting of Mewtwo, especially after Mewtwo actually shared a little bit about his past and that he regretted it. Guy seems real genuine. He doesn't mind if Tucker doesn't mind if Mewtwo knows where they are.
Fair going. Mewtwo's just saying, I can keep tabs on you and you can use this place as a second base. Kinda, sorta. Unfortunately, the tower is hard to access, given what it takes to get there. But having the mark would also mean that, even though you aren't all psychics, you could enter the tower from the Dragon's Path if you wanted. And generally speaking, it would hopefully keep you from getting imprisoned in the Dragon's Path. Maybe.
That's their own. Of course, the dragons are their own thing, so they can make their own decisions on that. But
Yeah.
maybe it would help a
But
little bit.
Mewtwo is at least reasonably confident that it shouldn't interfere if you choose to dedicate yourself to another legendary. The only thing he thinks might interfere are these unique abilities of yours. His explanation is they seem to function on a similar wavelength to the bestowed powers that the legendaries tend to give to their more powerful acolytes. But, of course, he doesn't have enough data, so he can't really say. He hasn't ever had quote-unquote servants of the Darkstar, and he's going to do actual air quotes this time, come to him in this sort of manner. So he hasn't had a chance to study. He's gonna bomb this quiz. And he'll actually say that, and he'll like put his hands on his hips and look kind of proud about it. I have no issue with it. You will be endorsing us to the chagrin of the dragons who kinda guard your door. I won't be a faux pas or anything, will it? Burkass. Unfortunately, I can't exactly control what the dragons do. Even some of the residents of the tower have issues with them from time to time. At least, the council. Most of the regular dragons type that guard the path are fine. The only one they need to avoid is Eternatus. Eternatus doesn't particularly care who you are. If you aren't a dragon and you're not supposed to be in the dragon's path. He sort of trails off there, leaving the implications up to your own minds. I do have a request for you, though. This information, what I've told you, it cannot leave here. You may feel a deep urge to inform all those around you of the danger that lurks in the stars. But it won't do any good. It would cause undue panic, anxiety, stress. I'm not asking you to keep an imminent threat under wraps. I'm asking you to make your lives easier.
Yes, I definitely agree. And he puts his hands up as a wise person once said. A Pokemon is smart, but actually no, I'm just gonna say it verbatim. He shrugs. He's like, yeah, someone wise once said, a person is smart, but people are dumb, dangerous, and panicky. So yeah.
I feel like that's from a book I have somewhere. He muses briefly. I'm gonna let Kyrio finish typing before I proceed.
This is fair.
Because Mewtwo does have another question for you all.
Tucker will also nod and say,
No, I agree. That would be nice to inform some people. I think it's better when we actually have more information first, which we need to get more of.
If I feel like the pioneers could help me, I might let Pangoro in on it eventually. But I'll try to be discreet, Brooke says. He looks at Ralph. You haven't answered yet. Do you want to join the Mewtwo fan club?
I suppose. A psychic link between us might be something I could take advantage of later. You know, in a good way.
Mewtwo puts a hand to their head. They assume their more easygoing and weary expression, shifting their weight more towards one leg than the other. Great, you're going to use me as a cheat hotline. They laugh, softly, only meaning to tease for the most part.
Ryder chimes in at Brooke's statement. I must decline the offer.
Oh? Oh, go ahead.
I have reasons for my... Well, I have reasons to decline.
And I won't fault you then, nor will I force you to disclose them. It's your choice. But you're a resident of the tower already. The only thing I'd be lacking is being able to keep tabs on you. But that'll be easy with these three. Unless you wonder, no, I'm not trying to make you my personal sitcom. He smirks, looking at the group as a whole. You're fun. But even I can get bored watching the same thing over and over. Besides, it's not like I intend to invade your privacy.
Nothing but non-stop laughs from me.
Hey, sometimes I just want not to think some days. Why do you think I like holing up in my cozy little office?
Fair enough, fair enough.
We're potential agents of the Dark Star. I understand the necessity of keeping an eye on us, Brooke says with a shrug. At the very least, we can potentially use this to keep you more informed of what's going on outside as well. Win-win. There's the clever trainer I ran into centuries ago. You two moves up to each of the three of you. 1, 2, 3. A single tap on each of your shoulders. And a purple mark appears. Lavender, really. It's in the vague shape of Mewtwo's head. It's not exactly the most pretty or aesthetic, but it is a nice, simple, and sleek design. And subtle enough most Pokemon won't think to ask about it.
Ashburn's dock symbol. This. No, kidding.
I do have one more question before we leave this space. Tell me, how have these aspects of yours treated you?
Yeah, knight's come in handy once or twice. And I'm excited to make it stronger. Oh, just imagine I, like, buy a lottery ticket or something and use my awesome luck powers to, win.
Well, mine's kind of enigmatic, but it's helped me form connections with others and help them, so it's been good to me so far, I'd say.
Augmentation is intense. I find it comforting in a way. It warns me against drowning in the responsibility of lifting up others. I like to think I've risen to the challenge so far. U2 considers this. They grant. Wow, words. They glance briefly in Ryda's direction before returning their gaze to the rest of the team. Very well. It seems, at the very least, that the aspects are not under the direct control of the Dark Star. Seems. I would advise you to take any sort of direction or guidance they give with a grain of salt. But the same could be said for anything you learn in a classroom or hear as gossip. In some way, shape, or form, they seem to care for you as hosts. Rather than parasitism, it's a symbiosis. I suppose it makes sense. Without a host, an aspect can't manifest. But what makes me confused is why. Why does the Dark Star need Pokemon that have aspects? What makes them important? What makes them controllable? It's something I'm going to have to think on. For now, focus on one thing at a time. The stage upon which you stand has grown much greater, and you're already on a small but important quest, aren't you, adventurers? He smiles in a wry way, knowing how cliched that happens to sound. Don't forget to live your lives. Okay?
Tucker gives a
Nod.
little smile and does a nod. Sorry to put so much writing pressure on you, Kyrio.
I'm sorry.
There is much to be said.
Honestly, I could have gone on mic again, but I just habitually kept typing.
I mean, I think you like typing the most, so I completely respect that.
I feel better exposing in text anyway.
Yeah.
That's okay. I understand. I really do. Would you like me to read that one?
Yeah, might as well.
Okay. I've got no intention of letting anyone or anything tell me what to do with my life, Brooke says. Just so happens we're in the business of poking around where we don't belong. Nodding, Mewtwo smiles. It's a warm smile. A really warm smile. He barely even waves a hand, having returned to his much more lazy gestures. And the room itself seems to shift. The repository of information fades away into the distance, and you all are slid right back up to the entryway to the office. I'm sure you'll live up to that, Brooke. After all. They put their hands on their hips, leaning down close towards Brooke's face. They have a mischievous grin on, showing teeth that are remarkably feline in nature. I think Scales would be pretty disappointed if you happened to fail at being yourself.
This has all been a lot for Tucker to process, and there's definitely some existentialism that creeped up on him during this, but, well, he came out the other side okay. And hopefully the rest of his team did too. If anything, this whole dialogue has really given them more purpose, including him.
Burke's expression seems a little surprised, but then he chuckles. You're, yeah, you're probably right, he says, a little, maybe uncharacteristically contrite. I'm sure he'll have plenty to say next time. Mewtwo raises an eyebrow, but assumes their regularly slouched stance, sort of chewing the entirety of the current Team Cheer out of his special vault room. Florence and Luxray are currently doing something. They appear to be staring at Noibat, who is wearing a lampshade as a hat and walking around holding a tiny spoon that he seems to have thieved from one of the desk drawers, marching around squeaking out lines that seem like he may be parroting Mewtwo in some respect or another. It appears as though Florence and Luxray are indulging in this little bit of entertainment. Possibly to ease their own boredom. Or at least to make Noibat feel like they're doing something important. If Mewtwo notices, he doesn't say anything. Well, he says in telepathy, forgetting that the rest of them can also hear his telepathy now. Noibat squeaks, flails, and flops onto the floor with a bit of a crash. Luxray and Florence both also jump. Luxray in particular going to pick up poor Noibat, whereas Florence moves to try and hide whatever the heck they happen to have been doing in the room while you all were gone. I apologize for holding up your egress from the tower for so long. Thank you for indulging me, and hopefully I was of a help.
Tucker will do his polite little quadruped bow that he does now and then and say,
Thank you, Mewtwo. You did help, and thank you for sharing more about yourself as well.
Tucker likes learning about people.
Okay.
It's a lot of fun.
There is a line.
Ah, sorry. I was telling my mate goodbye, he just went off to work.
Oh, that's fair.
I appreciate the opportunity, and the hospitality you've shown us, Brooke says. Come on, team. I think it's about time we got back to Shame and fixed our mess.
You're not a boss.
Yeah, we need to go fix Shaman now. Thanks, Mr. Mewtwo.
Noibat squeaks and flutters awkwardly, starting to go back through the hole that is now opened up in the floor again. Florence just giving a sort of half salute, half wave as he drops through the hole after Noibat. Luxray looking between the two, leaving, and then up at Mewtwo, and giving something of a weird, awkward, and apologetic bow, backpedaling out of the hole in a strange, sort of respectful motion. There's at least an attempt at reverence. Mostly one that amuses Mewtwo more than anything else. Does Noibat still have the spoon? Noibat does not still have the spoon. Oh. But before you go... Mewtwo reaches down to Tucker Apologies, but I do need this return.
Tucker nods understandably.
You can have it back when next you visit. And they pluck the spoon, the twisted spoon they left in your scarf, out.
Farewell, communication, at least for the time being.
Farewell, telepathy communicator.
I mean, I can get a spoon and I could twist it for you.
That's not how that works, but I bet it would make Tucker feel better.
I wonder if you could make one, Ralph. It is kind of handy to be able to talk to people using telepathy.
Actually, Kyrio makes a good point. Would the mark not help bypass the dark typing? So unfortunately, it doesn't really confer much in the way of benefits.
Because he's not true legendary, so he doesn't have quite that strong an influence.
Yeah,
I
he's legendary, air quotes, in that he is categorized as one, but he doesn't have the same sort of divine ability that many other legendaries do.
He's not divine, he's just powerful.
Incredibly so, and unique. So, the only way it helps him bypass the dark typing is to observe Tucker. The marks do not let him communicate with you.
It's a one-way radio. It's like a one-way tracker or something.
Yeah. I would say that unless you all have more to say to Mewtwo, that we can call the session here.
I think Tucker's done for talking. Well, he can't talk anymore anyways.
Tucker talks, Mewtwo responds, can't do telepathy, has to rasp.
Let's not force you two to rasp. It's hard for him.
I have one more thing for Rida.
Okay.
After they come out, Mewtwo says his spiel, and everyone gives their sort of final statements. Rida turns to Mewtwo, gives a nod, and thank you for answering my question. And then they will turn back to the group with something strange. A smile on their face. For the first time ever.
Huh.
Whoa.
That's weird.
Frightening.
Everyone,
weird.
oh no.
Well, I think your android's broken.
Mewtwo's just smiling politely.
Tucker is the only
Rida.
one that seems like not completely weirded out by it, actually kind of smiling as well.
Rida gives a soft chuckle. It appears I got the answer I was looking for. Well, rather more than I was bargaining for. It is rather unfortunate that I did not reveal much of what I was hoping for, but it is, well, it is what it is. I still have my goal of serving, which that will always be my priority. However, I still must find what my past and, well, my future lies. If you will allow me to indulge with your group further, I would be very grateful.
Wait, so you spent like the whole day with us, and you want to keep spending more time with us? Well, that don't usually happen. Usually after about 1-2 days, whoever we're with, like, can't wait for us to go. Oh man, there was this chinchilla, and I tell you. Yeah, but that's not important.
Mewtwo looks like he wants to make a snarky comment, but he is keeping surprisingly quiet.
Tucker does chipperly just go off of what Ralph said.
Well, at least we don't have any reason to shave, Rida.
Just not explaining, just adding that point.
I still find it funny how I said Ryder smiled and everybody's like, what?
Madness.
It very might be. It very well might be madness.
Oh no!
Invoked. Yes. I'm glad somebody knows that term.
Great. We go on one adventure with the new member. We already broke it.
Actually, doesn't that come from... Yeah, it does come from Calvin Hobbes. I thought so. The Noodle Incident. Calvin Hobbes, very good comic. It's occasionally brought up the Noodle Incident as a point of contention. Like, we can't do this. You remember the Noodle Incident? Or, you know what? We're not going to allow that. Remember the Noodle Incident? The Noodle Incident is never explained. It's just the Noodle Incident. It's
Wow,
just a running joke.
How do I not remember the Noodle Incident? I had, like, several Calvin and Hobbes books as a child.
Ah, man. Caleb owned every single one. Read them front to back. Loved that. Very good comic, honestly. Here's a little panel for everybody's entertainment since this was brought up. There you go.
I think you're more than welcome to join the team. We could even make it official in Savantown if you'd like, Rook says. And if for any reason you need to leave, I'd understand.
Thank you for allowing me to tag along.
Yeah, the extra company's always nice. We have a big base anyways. We have room for more.
It is at this point where Ryder's expression goes back to their default blank.
That's fair. You don't want to overexert yourself.
A smile is already so much.
Noibet, I'm sure this wasn't that exciting a first mission for you, but I can still talk to Pingoro and Rise about you joining too if you want to. Noibet falters a bit, standing just at the edge of the hole at the moment, having come back in to sort of wait for the rest of you. They fidget.
I'll think about it. Okay?
You got it, Rook says, then heads out of the office himself. Oh. Alright, everybody get your 2 XP.
That was a good session.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. I'm kind of thrilled that I was right. Like my hypothesis was right.
Which one?
That we were in the future.
Ah.
I will give Ralph an extra XP for the super hypothesis, and I need to give Ryda an extra XP because they broke and caused me to oh no.
Extra XP for smiling.
1 XP for smiles. Smiles go for miles, including an experience.
Which is ironic because that's the opposite of
My
the serious
God, has
nature.
it really been 3 years?
Yeah, 3 years of plot hooks finally coming together. It's almost 4, I think.
This was a major one. Rather than incident this, incident that, this is overarching plot. So, yeah. That's cool.
Oh, hey.
Again, sorry I didn't interact much, but Ryda doesn't really have much to add when it comes to acolytes and stuff and being human.
This is fair.
Yeah, unfortunately. And this is sort of the information that, while it's what Ryda asked for, also not much for Ryda to do with it.
Also, Jan said 2019, so it's been officially 4 years. Well, a little over.
Oh my
Hard to
God.
roleplay a blue screen of death. Oh, goodness.
Holy shit.
I think I might do a little the player RP thing where I'll write down what goes through Ryda's head.
That's totally fine.
That seems fair. Today's February 1st, right?
Yep. I'll
I
make
hate
dinner now, peace. You have a
This is
good night,
fair.
Kyrio.
Good night, Kyrio. February is my least favorite month because I can never remember how to spell February. There we go. It's like February. It's like, what the fuck? Who the fuck named this month?
Oh, holy mother of God.
This was a lot of fun, though. Honestly, a lot of good story beats and interactions. So, February's going to be a bit of a busy one for me. Expect missed streams here and there. Probably not for Pokerole, unless stuff lands wrong in 2 weeks. But I don't think it will.
Oh, goodness, Spirits. Goodness.
Typo is something else. Holy shit.
Okay. You know what? On that note, I need to go. It's late.
That's fair. Good night to you too, Car. And, yeah, thanks again for hanging out with me, of course. Thanks again for running the game as well. I really appreciate that.
And thank you all for being wonderful players.
Yeah, for sure. And you should be glad that you laid out the clues. Like, you should be feeling pretty, like, proud that you laid out the clues in such a way that I was able to catch on, just before it would have been revealed.
Oh yeah, that is a good way of
were a
leading up to it,
number-
isn't it?
There were a number of clues sprinkled throughout that kind of got me on that track of thinking. Not right away, of course, but when finding the old machine, like we found the old box, the old Pokemon box. That's odd. That shouldn't be here, right? I wonder. We got pulled through some kind of way. Yeah, we found the parts and we found the box, like an old Pokemon storage module that I was able to recognize because of my internship with Bill.
Yup.
But I wasn't on that track of thinking just yet, really. It might have been one of a couple of theories. But what really sold it was when I thought about the significance of Mewtwo being there. Like, wait, Mewtwo can't be here because there's only one Mewtwo. But if there's only one Mewtwo and he's here, then that's the same one.
Of course, it seems possible that there are more than one Mewtwo, according to what you
Yeah.
alluded to. But even so, yeah, it's a stranger Pokemon to see in multiples.
So, I'm going to explain what I had to directly tell at least one other person from the chat. Were. Past tense.
Yeah, true.
There were others.
And to be fair, he didn't go into detail about that, so who knows how long they were around. And exactly how many or such. You wishing Fat Fur's a happy birthday? My goodness. That's a good pun.
Nice.
I've earned that one.
Okay. And I do apologize. I understand that Ryda couldn't respond to much of that. I still feel like I should have had something more for Ryda to be able to interact with, but also it's still kind of amazing that Ryda is possibly half insane right now.
Oh wait, I don't quite I don't quite follow the half insane bit, but hopefully not.
The information pushed Ryda to some bounds.
I see. I hope that I hope that's not anything bad. But I guess we'll see.
They smiled. That says something.
It says they felt something. I don't know if that's necessarily bad or good.
Yeah. Yeah. Anywho, seeing the satellite clinched it. That's when I knew I was my guess was 100% right when it was revealed that the dead star was a satellite.
Oh jeez. Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna do my outro though. That is to say, I'm gonna actually end too. I have to end somewhat quickly too. If I want to get some food, I need to do it very soon. It's late, so. I will also be heading off the call. So you guys have a lovely night, Tubby and Hydra.
Mm-hmm.
You do as well.
And I will see you guys soon. And of course, viewers, I hope you enjoyed session 99. And of course, in 2 weeks, unless something gets interrupted, I don't think it will, but unless something gets interrupted, 15th, that shall be episode 100 finally, which will have a few little changes here and there. So look forward to that, I suppose. I hope you guys enjoyed. And of course, this is quite a story-heavy but interesting story-heavy segment with very important plot bits. So pretty appropriate to have that done right before we hit episode 100, actually. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you again in another 2 weeks for Pokerole episode 100.